everyone. Welcome to another episode on Lapetina Presents. Now I have a special guest from United Kingdom. His name is Michael Fausti. He is an award-winning director, actor, and writer. Let's learn more about him. All right.
You know, before we start, thank you so much for your support on, social media and, inviting us on here. It is very much appreciated.
Oh, thank you so much, Michael. Thank you. It's an honor for me to have you on my show. Welcome to Lapetina Presents. And there's a lot of things to talk about. And I'm very, looking forward for your upcoming projects to see. But what can I say? I checked in your biography that you graduated actually as a literature, right? You had a background in literature?
That's right.
Yes. Yep. And then you moved in arts, and then you study at the university in London, right? London Academic. Can you tell us what was your decision from literature, background literature, and then go to the film in the film industry?
Well, I mean, to be honest, I'd always been a film fan, really, and kind of when I was sort of growing up, film wasn't taught in schools or colleges particularly. The sort of traditional subjects like literature were, and so was art. The problem is I've never been any good at art. I can't draw, I can't paint, but I've got a strong visual sense. So I love films and filmmaking. And films have always really inspired me. And kind of growing up, I'm a child of the 70s. So sort of growing up in the UK in the 1970s, we had 3 television channels, all of which kind of went off air at midnight. But what they would show in the middle of the day were lots of sort of old American films. So I mean, kind of films from kind of like the 40s and even indeed the 30s. So I kind of grew up watching these movies like, The Wizard of Oz and lots of kind of sort of film noirs sort of starring Humphrey Bogart and people like that. And to me, these films always represented somewhere else, something different. And I think that, there are similarities between literature and film in terms of narrative, in the, you're building characters, you've got a narrative progression and a story, and there's themes and things like that. But I think film always represented to me something which you could do a bit more with. So you could play with visuals and, film is both sort of like visual and audio as a medium. Whereas literature, it's something that you kind of create yourself. And I just like the sort of painterly aspect of filmmaking, which, I think appealed to me more than literature. So yes, indeed, you've done your homework. I did shift from literature then into film. And the first course I actually did was, it was kind of about film theory. And they were introducing us to all these kind of different approaches to film. And that was good, but we never actually got to make any films. And I was a bit kind of sort of, disappointed by this. So I then investigated myself a special effects makeup course, which I kind of went off and did. And through doing that one course, we were just speaking about, the kind of network and communities that you build yourself. Through doing that one course, I met some people who then introduced me to some other people, and it's just kind of pretty much grown since there. That kind of one moment of deciding to go and do that course, literally, not immediately, but slowly, your life just slowly started to change, in that you're becoming more and more involved in the film world, and it's one person introduces you to somebody else and so forth. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of how I ended up going from literature to film. It was more I think the visual aspect appealed, and as I say, just being a big film fan myself.
That's fantastic. And I'm looking for. I watched 3 of your films. Celebrity Dead Celebrity.
Dead Celebrities.
Dead Celebrities. That one, and then Exit, and also I saw that 17 minutes of the of the anthology of the Video Shop Tales of Terror, the Bert Jensen, which is congratulations, because I seen that it's mentioned in many and articles, film articles, and also I saw the interview that the successful actress I recently interviewed, Adriana Snow, and she mentioned about this. How you feeling about all this success, this getting in the mouth of many people? How you feeling about that?
It's really encouraging, to be honest with you. And what was really nice with being part of Video Shop is we were approached by producer Sing Lau, who's a good friend who I've known for many years, and we all kind of go to a festival called the Horror on Sea Film Festival. And it was, it was him who just basically started this horror anthology. He just sort of said, I want to make a horror anthology film, and I want you to be part of it. And I said, oh yeah, that's brilliant, I'll do that. And they very graciously gave us some money. And I sort of said, what kind of, what sort of parameters do you want to put in place? What restrictions are there? And he basically said, as long as you keep it 15 minutes, I really don't mind what you do. And it was just really nice to have that kind of creative freedom from Lau. And in terms of sort of like the response that we've got, it's just been great because it really seems to have hit a chord with people. I mean, there is obviously the nostalgia element to videos and VHS, which, most people no longer have in their houses. But, for many of us growing up, they were a standard fixture. Yeah, it's been really positive, and it's just really nice that people have just accepted this anthology, which is, it's made by sort of 6 different directors. But no, it is, it's just really great just to get that kind of positive feedback. And what's nice is not only being a part of that, but you're part of a kind of whole that, it isn't just your film, you're sharing it with other people, which is also really nice.
Yes, and I actually I watched it yesterday, and then I was just watching to see what is going to happen next, when it's happening next, and then what's they drinking and why they acting, they are manipulated, and I was, oh my God, just started like a question in my mind, what is next, what is next, and all cast is fantastic, but I always love to see Aviana. She's one of my top to me. I enjoyed to see her. She's and I was, what is next? And I was, oh, very sexy girls, and I was, okay, these guys, and I was, and then no, that was so fantastic. And then, like you say, I like how the 80s styles and I saw they are selling the collection for those people that are horror fan, especially the VHS. That brings me, for example, when I saw that, the feeling back in the 80s. I was born in 81, but my childhood was in the 80s, and it's a good feeling to see the colors and all these things. That's good. Beautiful.
Oh, thank you. No, I'm glad you liked it.
And you recently did a screening, actually, right? There was a screening at the Fright Club on Saturday 18th. How was it? Right. How was the people reaction? How was the feedback? Tell us.
Yeah, it was really good, actually, because it was only the 3rd screening of Video Shop Tales of Terror. And again, it was in a cinema, and it was a big cinema, and it was, up in the sort of like middle of our country in the Midlands. And it was nice to actually kind of sort of take it sort of somewhere outside of our sort of immediate area to sort of, play to a live audience. And it went down really well. And the event was hosted by a guy called Daryl Buxton, who is a very sort of learned man about cinema, and he's a writer and critic himself. And he loves it, and he was very enthusiastic about the screening. And it was nice having a chat with Daryl, and again showing it in front of a live audience. No, it went down really well, and we were all really pleased. Particularly Lau, the producer, was really pleased at how it went down. And I think Lau is currently in the process of not only making Video Shop 2, but he's going to make Video Shop 3 as well. So I think the kind of sort of success and support that we've been getting has really sort of bolstered Lau up to go make 2 more films. So they'll be coming your way soon.
Yes, absolutely. And also, was like I said a little bit earlier, it's been mentioned in several articles. When I saw on Facebook, was shared by you, by Adriana, like the Love Oral Cup UK, that press, and also the Blazing Minds also was, they interviewed to her, and it was mentioned, and I think in all platforms they mentioned that. That's congratulations, and that's good. fantastic. I love it so much. And that also yesterday, I watched the Dead Celebrities, and that happened the same feeling. I'm looking what happened next, and what happened next was kind of a little funny. That was like a good sense of humor with scary, and I was a serial killer. Like everything was in the combo. And how you come up with the idea, because I was thinking that reminds me like those type of movies, like the serial killers from Texas, because Texas is very famous. Come up with stories like that, and I was thinking that one can be it would be a great idea for a feature film in Texas, something like a Dead Celebrity.
Well, yeah, no, I'd certainly be happy to come to Texas and make a feature film. That'd be great. Yeah, I look forward to that. Serial killers in Texas.
Mom yesterday when I saw it.
I mean,
no, but it was good. I love it. I watched twice. I love it. It was good.
Oh, really? Wow. Yeah. Must be good if you watched it twice. Thank you.
Yeah, my husband, we watched together, and he was, that's nice. We watched again and just watching it. Let me watch it again. I love that one. Okay. How you come up with the idea of that one? It's excellent. Tell us.
I mean, to be honest, it was, as with a lot of the sort of creative process, you kind of sort of start with one idea and you then go to another one and you go to another one. And one of the big problems, which is why it's very generous of you to suggest coming and filming in Texas, but one of the problems we have as filmmakers is locations, finding somewhere to film, ideally for free. And I was kind of sort of thinking, what could I film in my house? Because, most people's houses are not very large. They're certainly not as big as a sort of film set would need them to be. And I'm kind of thinking, so what room could I use, which I could kind of separate off and we could effectively, turn into a bit of a film set? And then I hit upon the idea of, what about the bathroom? And I mean, kind of the worst idea I could have had, because filming in a bathroom, as I found out after I'd finished Dead Celebrities, is just the worst place to film because there's no room. And the sound is terrible because it bounces all over the walls. But then I sort of thought, well, what if I kind of, every time I went to a hotel, I filmed a scene for this kind of movie, but I filmed in different bathrooms. And then I thought, could I film a series of deaths in each bathroom? And then I thought, I wonder how many famous people have died in bathrooms. So I Googled famous people who died in bathrooms, and literally this list came up of all these famous people who died in bathrooms, Whitney Houston, Judy Garland, and the list kind of went on and on and on. And I thought, wow, now this is kind of strange actually, because I didn't know that, I mean, in theory, I think probably loads of people die in bathrooms, they're just not famous. So I kind of sort of thought, well, could I weave together a story based around famous people dying in bathrooms? And that's really where the idea for Dead Celebrities came in. And because we had no money, I couldn't really employ lots of different actors, and just the logistics of getting an actor to a hotel room, it just wasn't going to happen. So I then sort of, I had a sort of conversation with my partner and producer, Lou Nosbod, and I said, well, what about if I played them all and you operated the camera? And that's pretty much how we got it to work. So we got kind of there's a kind of wraparound to Dead Celebrities, which these two guys who work in hotel maintenance are having a conversation about, as about kind of like people who died in bathrooms. But Lou Nosbod actually did most of the filming of that. So literally every time we went somewhere, it was kind of like, well, whose death are we going to film today? And we were early having a conversation about our mutual love of Elvis. And I said to Lou, well, look, Elvis died in the bathroom. We've got to do Elvis. And we went to a hotel down in Margate. And I was kind of like, I really need an old school kind of bathroom that would look like, the kind of bathroom that Elvis Presley would have. It couldn't be a small, cramped little bathroom, because there's no way the king would have a small, cramped bathroom. And so when we went to this hotel, it was a real gamble, because we didn't really let them know what we were doing. And I sort of said to Lou, go on, you look at the bathroom, because I was too nervous to go and have a look at it. And when we went in, it was a pink suite from the 1970s. And we just went, this is perfect. This is fate. This is where Elvis will die. And it was just really, to be honest, that movie, I think, that little short movie about, probably one of the most fun to film, but it took the longest because literally we had to film every death in a hotel room, other than the wraparound, which we filmed in a friend's apartment. But yeah, no, that was really the idea. Where could we film a movie which is not an expensive location? So we just hit upon the idea of bathrooms. But I don't think I'd ever do that again, because filming in bathrooms is actually a real nightmare. But as I say, you don't know what you don't know until you start attempting to do these things. But yeah, that was the inspiration for Dead Celebrities. What wraparound story could we have with a series of bathrooms? Because that was pretty much our one resource that we had, a kind of access to a series of bathrooms.
But actually, after watching your film, I never thought how many celebrities actually they pass in the bathroom. And I was, why? Because I never heard someone, they're not a public figure or a celebrity, pass in the bathroom. I was like, oh, I'm gonna die, I want to go to the restroom, I don't see the point. Why the celebrities? I was, maybe something behind. I'm just thinking with all respect. I don't, all those people who are listening to me, but you make me think about it. I was
good. I'm glad we made you think about dead celebrities.
Or maybe it's I want to say a conspiracy theory. Is this conspiracy theory? Or maybe it's just a key to fake the death. I wanna die myself in the bathroom. Just an idea. I don't know, because there's a lot of stories behind. These are stories behind Jim Morrison. People are thinking he's still alive. Same thing with Elvis Presley.
Yep.
The exception is with Michael Jackson, because he passed in his room, not in the bathroom. Maybe he escaped for that. I don't know. But if you think about it, those two, at least those two.
I was going to say, yeah. I like your thinking. Yeah, I mean, you could expand on this for a feature and come and film it in Texas hotels.
Yeah, I know.
Fantastic. I mean, the Jim Morrison one was actually filmed in my mum's bathroom. So we're having to kind of sort of say that this is Paris, but that was actually my mum's bathroom, because we're operating on minuscule budgets, and I mean, certain films describe themselves as being low budget with a budget of 100,000, and it's like, yeah, that's not our budget. Our budget is considerably smaller than that. So we kind of, we always make do with what we've got, and that's our starting point. So we kind of had a bathroom, and it's kind of like, well, what can we do with this, rather than we haven't got any money, we can't make a film. It's kind of like, well, what have we got that we could make? So no, Dead Celebrities was a lot of fun. And as you say, once you start kind of peeling back the layers of this, and it's kind of like, well, Jim Morrison died in a bathroom. But hang on, the doctor who signed the death certificate, no one's been able to trace. And, there's similar conspiracy theories around Elvis. And
same thing with
really
Elvis.
sort of fun idea. Yeah, I mean, it was just a really sort of fun thing to do for us. That I think some of our films are sort of quite divisive, in that people either really like them, or they're sort of quite strongly, well, no, I really didn't like that, or they find difficult to kind of connect. I think Exit's one of those movies that I think people either really like or really just find confusing and don't like. But Dead Celebrities always seems to engage people, because as we've just been saying, people start kind of going, well, hang on a minute, I didn't know that about this particular celebrity. There's one celebrity death I didn't include. It's actually about a now forgotten Hollywood star who dies in a bathroom, which I've actually saved. So I'm actually going to use in another film. So I'm not going to say too much about that. But the more I delved into these celebrity deaths, not only were there quite a few of them, but there's one that's really bizarre, in that he dies in a locked room. So the bathroom is locked from the inside. And it seems that there was somebody else in the room with him, but it's locked from the inside. So how did they get out? But that's another story.
I'm looking forward for that one. And also, yesterday I watched The Exit. You made me, my husband and I, we were thinking, what does that mean? I'm thinking this, I'm thinking that. I like those movies that I like to break, like a puzzle, and break my head.
Thank you.
And I like how the lights and the colors you mix it, and very mysterious and all stuff. Can you tell us how inspired you for that movie? Was the writer was Matthew Baseless, and you direct this one? And tell us about the movie. That's fantastic.
Sure.
I love it.
I mean, yeah, we were just talking about dead celebrities, and Matt Bayliss is the guy who plays opposite me. He's the young lad. Actually, no spoilers about dead celebrities, but he's the young lad who's also in the film with me. And we kind of had a conversation after Dead Celebrities about, could we make a feature film? Because, as a filmmaker, you make short films, and then you always have that kind of, could we make a feature film? And Matt and I sort of sat down and we had a discussion, and we sort of said, it would have to be a single location movie. So it would have to take place in one place because it'd be easy to film. We can get the talent there and we could film it in a week, or so we thought. And Matt went away and I went away, and we both started trying to come up with ideas in a single location. And Matt's idea was the strongest, and it is what is now Exit. And we went to a sort of flat, an apartment in London, which we hired, Airbnb. And we got there, and as with most kind of sort of rental apartments or Airbnbs, the look of the place was very flat. So you've got these very plain walls, and it was kind of like, well, how are we going to, kind of try and make this look more interesting when we come here to film? And I'm a big fan of a lot of 1970s horror movies. And many of these 1970s horror movies, particularly by people like Mario Bava, would use colored gels to disguise the fact that they were filming, say, a corridor, which you'd actually seen earlier, but they're filming it from, say, the other end. So the last time you saw this, it was kind of green lit, and now it's kind of ready lit, and you actually kind of realize that you're looking, at the same place you saw about 10 minutes ago. And I remember hearing this and sort of suggesting, could we actually then, have this kind of place almost reactive? So when the guests first arrive, it's a kind of sort of yellowy, quite almost normal color. But then as the passion and tensions rise, the colors start getting ramped up to this very sort of strong magenta color. So the colors that you see within Exit are kind of representative of the sort of passions and moods of the characters as events become more and more ramped up. And you kind of work with what you have and what you have a budget for. So we couldn't, as many filmmakers do, we couldn't use props and costumes in a way where you can, create a space for a person and say, this is this person's bedroom. And so the way we've decorated it represents a lot about their personality. Because really all we had was kind of like lights and limited kind of costumes, because these people have just come here for a weekend. So we had to kind of think of a creative way to kind of tell our story. And one of my sort of go-to filmmakers is a guy called Michael Powell, who made The Red Shoes and Black Narcissus, Matter of Life and Death, some of my favorite movies, which I saw as a child growing up. And one thing that always struck me about those films was just the strength of the color. And you don't really see films that have that kind of sort of strength of color to them anymore, because these were shot on sort of Technicolor, and the process now is almost to get films to look as natural as possible. But just the kind of sort of the strong colors that we had in Exit, they were driven by a number of reasons. So they're driven both by the plot and the characters, but they're also driven by the necessity of trying to make something look visually interesting in a space which isn't particularly interesting to look at. But we also just sort of tied that to the narrative as well. So actually, I don't want to add too many spoilers. So when we're outside the apartment, the colors are very deliberately washed out. And then when they go inside, it's a bit like Dorothy waking up in the Wizard of Oz to find herself no longer in Kansas. So that was actually one of my reference points as well, the Wizard of Oz and the strange colors in that. And yeah, so that's why we kind of went with those kind of very sort of strong colors in Exit.
Yes, it was a good movie, fantastic, and I enjoyed watching yesterday. And I like the type of movies like it's not, don't leave the filmmaker to describe everything. It's always good for us to kind of be part of it by try to find the meaning of what is happening, or try to guess the frames, for example. I don't want to say too much spoiler the frames, or what is the frames, or maybe it's that one, and discussing I think it's because of this. And my husband said, no, I think it's because of that. No, I think it's because of this. You know, I like those movies. They're very mysterious, you know. It's like read between the lines of the script, read between the lines of the lights, read between the lines, you know, every aspect. And that's Exit is a perfect example for that one. And I recommend anyone to watch. You can find your film and Tubi and Amazon. And please, I want to include myself. Please add comments because we need to support our independent filmmakers, friends.
Thank you, Angel.
And the best way to do this, first of all, watch it. It's good. Tubi is for free, but buy and read in Amazon and add a comment because that's how we can help each other. So I always encourage.
Thank you so much. That's really gracious of you, and you're absolutely right. We have to help each other because you know we are up against huge conglomerates who are spending millions, if not billions, on their films and marketing, and we're just trying to do it because this is our passion, and we're doing it out of our own pockets. So. And, thank you again for all the support that you've given, not only to us on social media, but, all the kind of independent sort of filmmakers and creatives that you have on your show. I know that everyone, and indeed we are just very sort of very thankful because, but, without people like you doing this, the indie scene will die, because it's hard to keep going because you do keep running up against, problems and, financial brick walls because, you don't have the resources. And so when people like yourself just very graciously help us, it is very much appreciated.
Thank you so much. And I appreciate that people like you believe in my show and invest your time, to be in my show and share your projects. And the purpose, like I tell to all my guests, that this show is a human connection. First of all, support the independent arts, and you never who's watching you, and check what you're doing, and they can put money, or maybe you can refer actresses. We never know. It's
this is very true.
And we want to build a community for that purpose. Connect, like you said. I'm speaking with you now. A couple of weeks ago, I spoke with Diana and looking forward with Amber. It's like one thing, connect another thing, another director. You never know. Distributors. Looking forward to interviewing distributors, also agents and things like that. You will never know. Film festivals. I interviewed Jenna Suro from Paris Film Festival, and and so that's the key to make the community.
No, absolutely, and you really are sort of doing sterling work because, as you say, it's this idea of building our own networks in which we can support each other and help each other. And as you say, we here in the UK, I sort of try and help other filmmakers, and they in turn help me. We all call in favors. I mean, I don't regard myself as an actor, but sometimes I kind of end up appearing in films simply because it's kind of cheaper if I come in and do a role for a day than kind of having to sort of like, pay for talent, or sometimes we get let down. But I've acted for sort of like fellow filmmakers like Andrew Elias, Tom Lee Rutter, Alexander Churchyard. We just all help each other, and, we're not expecting payment or anything like that. We do it because we're helping each other, and we're based in the UK, but we've got sort of many friends around the world, particularly in the US. You've been extremely supportive, and so have many other sort of kind of festivals out there. Like I'll just try off the top of my head to mention some of them. You're in Texas, aren't you? And the South Texas Underground Film Festival, run by Mariela and Robert, have always been extremely supportive of us. And even though we're separated by thousands of miles, these guys have been supportive right throughout, where we started with our short films going back years. They've always been supportive, and you've just got to be very sort of thankful and gracious for that, because there isn't a personal connection there. And many people running film festivals are doing it from, the position of being passionate about creatives or movies. I mean, other sort of festivals to give a shout out to are like Bizarro Land in Florida with Steven Stoll, Genre Blast in Virginia, Milwaukee Twisted Dreams, and Stranger Days in North Carolina, because all of these guys have supported us And, you know, you've got to be thankful for that. And we in turn support the festivals that show our films because, you know, they in turn need to bring in audiences. And as you say, it's about building connections and a network, and one thing leads to another. And as I say, you know, in these times of social media, it doesn't really cost anything to like and share something, which you're extremely good at. And, you know, thanks again for all the likes and shares you give us on social media. It is very much appreciated.
Oh, thank you so much. And also, you told me that you won an award in Mexico, in Aguascalientes. Can you tell us about that award? Because Mexico is they are independent film lovers. They love so much the independent film industry.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking earlier, weren't we? I sort of made a short film many years ago. It was my first short film, and it was, you know, just one of those kind of sort of plunges into, God, could I make a film? Right, I'm going to try. So I bought a camcorder from a local electrical store, and I didn't really know what I was doing, but I kind of went off and I made this short film, and I kind of finished it, and I sent it off to all of these festivals, and nothing happened. Literally, the months went by, and I'm sitting there really questioning if this is really what I should be doing. Have I just wasted a lot of time and money attempting to kind of make this short film? Am I deluded? Am I stupid? Should I really have not done this? And then one day I get this message through, and it's from a festival in Mexico. And it was my first selection for anything I'd ever made. Completely out of the blue arrived this selection from a film festival called Postmortem Horror and Bizarre Film Festival. And as you said, I'm going to mispronounce it, but it was in Aguascalientes.
Aguascalientes.
And I always remember that, because I think, you know, as a creative, you're always looking for affirmation that what you're doing is right. And you're always filled with self-doubt because you keep questioning what you're doing. And every creative, I don't care who they are and how successful they are, you wake up and you think, is this any good? Am I wasting my time here? And I always remember that festival for that reason, because, you know, if I probably hadn't received that message from that festival saying, great, we've taken your film, I'm not saying I would have stopped, but you certainly think, am I actually wasting my time here? And so for me, you know, I've got a real fondness for that festival and that place, because although I wasn't able to attend because it was a bit far from the UK, I do have a real kind of like, you know, a real sort of soft spot and a real feeling for Mexico and Aguascalientes, because they were the first place anywhere on the planet to not only select one of my films, but screen it. And I'm always thankful for that moment, because, you know, as I say, we kind of finished the film in the summer, I think in June or something like that, sent it off to these festivals, particularly festivals in the UK. And no UK festivals came back to us, but this Mexican festival did. And I always remember that. You know, you remember the moments and you remember those who helped you and spurred you on. And so for me, that's one moment I'll never forget, just that first film being selected and just kind of almost breathing a sigh of relief. Wow, actually somebody else likes it other than me. And after that, you know, it was almost took just that shift. And then after that, other festivals started selecting it. And I think in total, it was selected by about 10 festivals, all of them outside the UK. We had several sort of selections from South America. There was a Brazilian selection and quite a few others. And in the US, and particularly, as I say, Genre Blast in Virginia was another one who selected our really early short. And it spurs you on, and you just need these moments to actually kind of go, actually, do you know what? I'm not wasting my time because somebody else has actually kind of like, you know, shown their support. And these moments are important. And so, you know, I don't tend to forget them. And, you know, you have to remind yourself periodically that you are on the right track, and you get these kind of signs come to you. You know, it's a selection, or somebody just turns around and gives you a positive review. You know, we were talking about reviews earlier, or even you just run into a person at a festival. This happened to me a couple of months back at a film festival. And they just said, I really like your film Exit. I saw it here last year. Because people don't have to do that. You know, you don't have to turn around to a filmmaker and say, I really liked your film. But when somebody takes the time to do that, or, you know, buys a DVD from our website or a T-shirt from us, I'm always extremely thankful. And, you know, if you buy something from us, I will always put a little handwritten note in, and it's me who writes it, saying, thanks very much, really appreciate this, because I genuinely do. Without people's help, you know, we are nothing. You can't make a film by yourself. You need a good team around you, and I'm sort of fortunate to actually have that. I think it's always tempting to think of creatives as these sort of like lone individuals who are just sort of driven and they create their own success. You don't. You need others to actually help you to do this.
Exactly, exactly. And how I like how you shared this story, because I'm pretty sure that a lot of people, when they receive rejection from the beginning, because to do a film is not easy. Doesn't matter, it's a short, a feature film, and it's a lot of work, especially with a low budget, because it's like you said, you have to figure out or create things that are not existed. You're trying to figure it out to be able to make it possible.
Yes.
And you were feeling down, but at the end you find the light and you say, okay, I there was a signal, it was a sign from the heaven. Mexico was a sign for you, and there was you found yourself, and you develop your own confidence and continue this road. You follow your passion. It's not easy, but it's thanks for sharing that, because I speak with students that are enrolled in film school, and that's the first thing I tell them. You need to be strong, and you need to develop hard skin for rejections, because it's not easy. It's not easy, but it's not impossible. And the key is to be consistent. The consistency, fight for it. It does, and that's what I like. When you share your story, that's very awesome.
Thank you. I mean, to be honest, whatever creative endeavor that you're on, you know, whether you're a singer, an artist, or a performer, there's going to be bumps in the road. You know, you're never going to have a smooth journey. And in many respects, you know, you're being tested there to actually see if you really want this or not. And when people say, oh, I'm passionate, it's kind of like, well, how passionate are you? Can you take the knocks and the rejections as much as kind of like the success? I think increasingly, I don't know if increasingly, I think people have always thought like this. People believe in the myth of overnight success, and it is a myth. And if you look at anybody who was successful, they went through a ton of rejections before, you know, they just got that one break. And then, as you know, as we've been discussing, that one break leads to something else, which leads to something else. But as you say, it's consistency, and it's not giving up. And it's hard not to give up, because sometimes you just sort of think this really isn't worth it. You know, as you say, you get a bad review, or you get what you may regard as unfair criticism. But, you know, as you rightly observed, you have to sort of develop a thick skin, or you just, I mean, I've got to a point I sort of sometimes can't look at reviews just in case they're not overly complimentary. So I get my producer Lou Nosbod to look at them, and she can tell me the good ones. But ultimately, you have to accept that you will have problems, because you are attempting to do a lot. And the more you do, the more problems you will have. You know, if you never leave your house, you don't have that many problems. But the more you're out in the world dealing with all of these variables, you know, you're dealing with talent, you're dealing with crew, you're dealing with festivals, you're dealing with locations, you're going to have more problems, because your world has got that much bigger. But if you don't do something different, then, you know, basically the same thing will just always affect you. And really, I'd kind of got to a point in that I really wanted to be creative, but I wasn't quite sure how to make a film. So I just kind of went off and made it, and I made a lot of mistakes. And any film, there's always going to be something that you're not happy with. You know, you sit there and you kind of go, the lighting could have been better there, or the audio could have been better. But you know what? You made it. And there are many people who say they're going to make a film, they're going to write a song, or I could have been this, or I could have been that. And they don't. So even though you make your film and it's not perfect rather, you got your film made. You did it. You've done something most people won't have done. You've made a film. And then if it gets shown at a festival, you got a film shown on a big screen in front of an audience. That's an achievement. Exactly. And really, you know, yeah, if I had to give any advice to people, that would be it. But yeah, there's going to be problems. There will always be problems, because the more you're trying to do, the more problems there will be. And as a filmmaker and any creative, you're numerous things. You're planning. You're trying to be sort of like imaginative. And so with this, there will come more problems. But that really is just something that, you just have to learn to deal with.
Exactly. No, this is part of the entertainment as a musician, filmmaker, and in any art field, that to be open mind for the critique, criticize, and maybe a lot of good feedbacks, good and bad. And some people are jealousy because sometimes even they know it's a good film, but they don't feel the courage for them to do it. I'm gonna put a bad feedback. That's with people. Yes, we have to be open minded about any possibility. But the key is the outcome. Their first achievement is start with idea, make the decision, do it on screen step by step. So that's the key.
Yeah, and to be honest, you've got to focus on the positives and look at what you have achieved. As a creative, you've decided to take a different path to everybody else. You've actually gone down the road less traveled, and that is going to bring with it, it's going to bring with it highs and lows, but at least it's not boring.
Yes, my philosophy is I don't care the final destination, just focus on the journey.
Yeah, no, that's very true. And the journey in itself is part of the fun, because that's really where you're going to learn most of your stuff, and you're going to meet people along the way that you wouldn't have met if you'd have not tried. And that's always the thing. There are people out there who you've not met yet who will help you.
Exactly.
And whilst you're going to get some kind of negativity from some people, surround yourself with sort of like, positive folks. So, the people who do like your stuff, those are the ones who you focus on. And when you're kind of, building a team or a kind of creative network or a creative community, look to the people who are the positive ones rather than the kind of sort of cynical negative ones, because it's always very easy to be cynical and negative. It's often difficult to maintain positivity. But, we've been very sort of fortunate at Fausti Films in terms of the people that we work with. You mentioned Aviana and, Amber. And basically, we always kind of like, when we're casting, we like to do, kind of what you and I are doing now, sort of face-to-face conversations before we move to any kind of audition or self-tape, because what we kind of want is we're looking to almost create a company, a kind of team of sort of actors and crew who we're going to kind of go forward with, rather than just a kind of one-off, well, I'm making a movie, I need an actor. We almost kind of want to have like a sort of stock company of creatives around us. And what we kind of look for more than anything else, I think, is positivity. If you've got a kind of positive attitude and, you like the stuff that we do, that goes a long way with us. It's not a job. Really kind of being a creative is not a job. If you're just looking for a kind of sort of financial reward, there are plenty of other things that you could do that are actually going to be a lot more straightforward than trying to produce a film. And as I say, we've been very fortunate in the talent that we've worked with. And, particularly myself, I've got producer Lou Nosbod, who takes on a lot of the kind of organizational side of things. My cinematographer, Kamal Yildirim, he's not only, he's not just the guy who switches the camera on. He's a creative collaborator, and, he was over the other day and we were looking through an edit. As a creative, you can't exist in a bubble. You have to have other people around you who are not only being supportive, but are also going to tell you some hard truths. They're going to sort of say things like, well, that's just not going to work. You can't do that. And to be honest with you, you have to be, you have to be kind of sort of, reflective, and you have to be open to these suggestions. And as I sort of said earlier, it's tempting to sort of see directors as these sort of driven people who don't listen to anybody else, but you're not actually going to get very far if you do that. And, put a good team around you and look for positivity and people who sort of share your vision, and you'll get a lot further than just listening to your own kind of internal monologue and, falling prey to sort of, cynicism and negativity.
Absolutely true. Yes, I agree with you. And what other projects besides the purchasing? Anything else you're in? You would like to share? You have in mind, or you're working on? You want to share?
Yeah, I'm currently finishing up our second feature, which is called Burnt Flowers. And I guess I'd describe it as a psychosexual film noir. It's, I mean, to be honest, when I was writing this, and I wrote this sort of during lockdown, I'd get up very early in the morning, and I mean like sort of 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and start writing this, and it's got a very dreamlike quality to it. And the kind of reference points for writing this, there's two key reference points, really. One of them is The Wizard of Oz, and then the other one is Little Red Riding Hood. And I think that it's a very sort of female-centric story. It's about a female detective who goes off and investigates a missing persons case that is brought to her by a femme fatale, played by Aviana Snow. And the detective is played by Amber Doig-Thorne. And really what then happens to this detective is she starts to find out things about herself, and she ends up kind of going to this very strange place populated by all these kind of sort of strange characters, in which she starts to, you know, change as a person. And I'm in the process of kind of editing that at the moment. We've filmed most of it. We've got to do a couple of additional scenes in July. But in the main, that's now filmed, and I'm in the process of editing that. And that's actually one of my sort of favorite parts of the process. I enjoy the writing process and the planning, and I enjoy the editing. I do enjoy production, so being on set and kind of working with cast and crew is fun, but it's extremely exhausting. And what's kind of nice is to then almost withdraw and get away from that and sort of sit there with all your pieces and start putting it together and decide upon the story you want to tell. So yeah, we've got Burnt Flowers, our feature, which due for release, where am I now? January 2024. I'm hoping to have that finished for.
Fantastic.
And I'll be sending that your way, Angela, for your attention. And ultimately, I mean, after that, I have got something else written, which is a very top secret project, which I'm not even going to tell people the title of that yet. But I have also written our third feature, which will be our next project going forward. We'll probably be looking to do a crowdfunder for that, because there's some complicated stuff in there I'd like to do. But as I say, that will probably go into production middle of next year, so in 2024. And again, you know, we will be sort of like, you know, looking to bring on board like-minded people for that, who sort of share our vision. And then also, you know, my sort of cinematographer, Kamal Yildirim, has asked me to be part of his segment for Video Shop 2. So I've got an acting role coming up, which I'll need to prepare for. But again, it just ties in with what we were saying earlier, that all of our kind of forthcoming projects are about supporting each other. And I've got another sort of close friend, Andrew Elias, who's looking to do another sort of feature film, and you know, we'll be looking to support him in any way we can. But for us, we've got a feature coming up, Burnt Flowers, which I'm hoping to get before audiences for January 2024.
Fantastic, and I'm just very looking forward. And your mysterious films and suspense. I'm a big fan of those films, and looking forward. A fantastic cast: Aviana, Amber, and you know, lovely ladies. And
they are indeed.
Yes, absolutely.
And, they were a real pleasure to work with, and no, I'm looking forward to people seeing their performances, because their performances were both excellent. And you know, when you write a character, you have a kind of mental idea about what this character is going to be like, what they're going to sound like. And with both Aviana and Amber, they really nailed it. And so as a sort of director and writer, I couldn't be happier with what we managed to achieve with them. And they worked hard, you know, they worked long hours. And, you know, independent film is hard, because, you know, nobody's giving you a trailer and, you know, a 4-course meal every time you arrive on set. You know, it is hard. And, you know, we are sort of working on very low budgets, but no, big thanks to all of our talent, actually, and cast and crew who helped us with Burnt Flowers.
Fantastic, fantastic. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a success and looking forward to
Thank you.
watch it and share it and do a follow-up with you with more interviews to follow your career. And thank you
Most
so
definitely.
much. Thank you so much for
No,
being on my
thank you.
show again. It's an honor, Michael. And looking
No,
forward.
the honor's all, believe me, the honor is all ours. And you know, I know I've already said it, but I'm going to say it again. Thank you so much for all of your support, Angela, on both social media and indeed your show, and just getting the message out there for, you know, not just us, but all independent creatives, because, you know, you are building a community here, and it really does help. So thank you so much.
No, thank you. It's always an honor, and I'm very happy to be in the circle and be building not only human connections, but a good friendship. And we call each other friends. And
yeah, we can indeed.
Exactly.
I'm coming to Texas.
Awesome.
To see your Elvis collection.
Yes. It's a lot of things, and I need to put it organized, because right now it's at my parents' house. And then my mom, she tried to keep it, and I have some decoration in my room, but I need to start when the things get yes, when my husband can be able to live with me in Texas, we want to open that. And yes, you are more than welcome. And I have a lot of things that sometimes I'm thinking, I did not have this. I did not until this in boxes, a lot of things, promo posters, replicas, his films and things like that. And yes, and you never notice until it started, when you looking for other things, another item, and I did not have this on Elvis. I did not have this, because I need to start, like I used to put on glasses or something, for people. Yes.
No, I'll definitely be coming to Texas at some point. And
absolutely, you're welcome in McAllen, Texas, the border, and the South part of the island. So yes, absolutely. We were happy to give you a tour. Yes.
Oh, thank you. That'd be very nice.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Thank you, Michael. And have a wonderful weekend. Speak with you soon, and keep me posted. And I will keep you posted about this interview. It's going to be awesome for Illuminate and Apple Podcast. Awesome.
I love it. Thanks, Angela. Take care. All the best.
Take care. Bye-bye. All the best to you. Bye-bye.